hello, and welcome once again. J76NY here, and this is episode number 12 of our playthrough as King Romas Taurus of Rizia on Suzerain, Kingdoms of Rizia, a game by fellow traveler and Torpor Games. Picking up right where we left off at the end of last episode. I just took a quick 5-minute break, and now I am back to recording. I kind of like the way the last episode played out. I am kind of gearing towards or heading in the direction of trying to unify the houses of Rizia. If I have to do that through marriage, then that's a possible option in the game. Then we will. I think that would benefit Rizia and make for a fun playthrough. We are at the end of the turn. Before we finish the turn, I'm going to read the news. Rufus Gragg's Royal Gossip Lover War. Dearest reader, it's been forever since I've been able to bring you a scoop of such enormous, one might say royal magnitude. Here we go. After 8 years of bachelorhood, our widowed King Romas has been spotted in the muscular arms of War and Security Counselor Duchess Lucida Zaro. If you didn't watch the last episode, she almost fell off a wall, and I caught her and pulled her close, and we had our picture taken. And I gave her a compliment on her looks, and she didn't seem too offended by it. So I've had my eyes on Duchess Zaro for King Romas pretty much since the beginning of the playthrough. If that's an option, we were going to take that route, because my boy down there deserves the best. And cartoon characters as they are, yeah, she's kind of hot, so we'll go for that. The House of Zaro Aureus was long thought unmarriageable due to her age and masculine occupation, but it looks like there may be hope for her after all, the highest hope in all of Rizia, in fact. As for His Majesty, he has never truly gotten over his late wife, Prince Lena Livingston, or is it mere distraction? The Herald welcomes all theories. Swordland enters economic recession despite efforts. Poor Swordland. The shadow of recession has descended upon Swordland, making a period of economic strife under President Ewald Alfonso's leadership reminiscent of Tarkin Sol's post-Civil War era. Despite Alfonso's aggressive pursuit of growth via new trade deals, his strategies are beleaguered by entrenched political opposition and a global economic slowdown. With analysts split on the recession's longevity, the pressure mounts on Alfonso to navigate Swordland out of the economic peril before the end of his term, or an endeavor fraught with uncertainty and the specter of history's judgment. All right. Oh, wow. We are going to check out the island of Calaquabas. Gas field survey reaches completion. Cool. The Rizian surveyor ship sent to assess the boundaries of the Orion gas fields have returned to Calaquabas and reported their findings. They have discovered that at least half of the field lies within a 200-kilometer radius of the island, giving Rizia a claim to it. Sweet. Our foreign ministry has contacted Palesian Duke Axel Reinhart. It is expected a meeting will be arranged to discuss these findings and our country's next step. Good, so there's gas down there. Would have sucked if there wasn't, seems I think I'm already kind of invested in the gas trade here. So let's continue on to the next turn, which is called Between Seas, Chapter 2. Okay, we are in Chapter 2. React to the protesters. Respond to the Monkey's Palace welfare protesters. Substantial crowd is amassed at the Palace Taurus. Gates and Monkeys vocalizing their concern over the lack of access to higher quality education and healthcare services. Some voicing concerns with increasingly difficult living conditions. The Crown can choose to disperse them, allow their peaceful protest, or offer assurances to improve welfare spending across the nation. I am going to... Oh, wait a minute. Promise increase health and education funds. Well, we got a budget now. Not very big, but we have one. Maybe we should sell some more stuff. Then we can get that dam. How's our authority? Our authority is doing fine. I'm going to let the protests happen. And then read about it. Thousands of protesters gathered outside the Monkey's Palace complaining about the state of our welfare system after arousing speeches by local community leaders. The crowd slowly started to dissipate with the protests over by early evening, so no harm, no foul. Council meeting on Palais gas dispute. I had called a council meeting in Fort Ailes to discuss our strategy in the Palais gas dispute. The city was named after its most famous building, a Volgish fortress that now served as the government headquarters for the Palais Administrative District. Titus escorted me down the hallway to a nondescript conference room where Lorenzo, Lucida, Elena, and Hugo were all waiting. My daughter had requested to stay home this time around, claiming she was feeling unwell. I took a seat across from Lucida. Look at her. Made eye contact for a brief moment. She blushed. Oh, dear, dear, what kind of trouble are we going to get ourselves into with this one? The other counselors studiously trained their eyes away from us. Good morning, Your Majesty. Should we fill you in on the situation so far? Yep. Why I'm here. I'll take it from here. As you know, our joint team of researchers recently completed their assessment of the gas field between Palais and Rizia, tentatively nicknamed Aureus. Rizian surveyors determined that the field lay in both Rizian and Palesian territory. However, a few days after our teams returned to port, we received the news that the Palesians had made a different decision. Duke Reinhardt is now under the impression that the entire gas field belongs to Palais. He has ordered that exploratory drilling begin immediately. Lucida had a worried look on her face. A Palesian drill ship departed the port of Romas at 0800 this morning. It is expected to reach the field by this time tomorrow. Uh-oh. Your Majesty, I've advocated for caution regarding Palais in the past, but this strikes me as highly concerning. I completely agree, Lucida. We cannot ignore this obvious provocation. I still believe that caution is called for. I want to know all the details before we decide our reaction. I share those concerns. They were out of line. I'm sure there's a logical explanation. We shouldn't assume it was an act of aggression. Caution is called for. Very wise of you, Your Majesty. We have a meeting set with Duke Reinhardt in 2 days, at which time the ship will have reached its destination. It is my hope that the Palesians are still open to negotiating the field's ownership and that this is just a tactic to give them an edge. You're getting ahead of yourself, Lorenzo. The king should be as informed about this dispute as possible before heading to Palais. You're right as usual, Miss Warner. I want to know everything I can about that disputed field. And where should we start? Why is this a dispute? I thought our maritime borders were clear. They've been shifting for the past century. The late Empire of Volgos used to control the waters between Palais and Calacabiz, but the area came into question when the island joined Rizia in 1855. Since then, both Rizia and Palais have various claim ownership of these waters and the resources therein. The borders that Rizia recognizes today are the ones defined by the 1942 AN Directive of Offshore Resources. According to those, the field should be split almost exactly evenly between our nations. Yes, and/or. A nation has the sovereign right to any undersea gas and oil wells located within 200 kilometers of its coast. And in case of overlap, no one country may exploit these resources without the other's agreement. Oh. We both have to agree or neither one of us gets any gas. Pales is breaking the law. Palais is breaking the law by claiming sole ownership. Are both Palais and Rizia signatories of this directive? What happens if a country violates the directive? Rizia has signed and ratified Andor. Reinhardt's predecessor signed the directive, but the Duke has yet to ratify it. The Palesians furthermore state that as a sparsely populated island, Calico Belize should not have the same maritime radius as mainland Rizia. But that's nonsense, right? It wouldn't hold up in an international court. How dare they disparage our island? Wouldn't hold up in a court? That's debatable, Your Majesty. With enough legal firepower and international support, Palais could have a case. Well, that sucks. Do we now know how much gas the field contains? Does Rizia need the gas from the field? Or that's... how much does it have? We still don't have an exact number, but the surveyors have confirmed that it's a lot. Like possibly more than the current natural gas reserve of Rizia and Pales combined. Wow. In other words, whichever country controls the Aureus field becomes Mercopa's next energy superpower, and that should be us. Do we need the gas from that field? I'll be blunt, Your Majesty. Our existing gas reserves are dwindling. Oh. So we're headed towards a war over resources. Possibly. Well, it's realistic. Our expansion of the Esquires field will increase gas production, though access to even half of Aureus would yield better results. President Ewald Alfonso was pleased enough with our trade deal that he has hinted at offering us a stake in his own gas company, Gasom. But next year's Swordfish elections may jeopardize that offer. That sounds promising nonetheless. Follow up on that lead. I'm not going to waste my time with that. Just as well, I've had enough dealings with the swords. Alfonso's slipping in the polls already, eh? Wonder who the next guy will be. I wonder. Sounds shady. I wouldn't be surprised if this Gasom was on the verge of bankruptcy. Go with that one. It's too early to tell. He could still pull off a win. Swordfish or otherwise, we could really use the gas to bolster our overall energy reserves. We're running low as it is, and we don't know what the future might bring. We are down to 3 here. Alright. Let's discuss our response. Lucida raised a hand. Actually, I have some additional information that could influence our response. By all means, Duchess Cesaro, go on. She took out a photograph. It showed a number of men in business suits boarding a large vessel. Our intelligence in Palais managed to get a visual on the boat before it departed. This man here is a representative from Less Power, the Lesbian Energy Corporation. That's not good. Hugo stared at her coldly. I was not informed that we had active intelligence operating in Palais. His Majesty and I made the decision to establish it. You were involved with this, Your Majesty? I thought the Wayland investigation took full precedence. You will not question Duchess Cesaro's ability to do her job. Actually, it was my idea. I believed the same, but she convinced me that Palais' situation is worth keeping an eye on, and that turned out to be the case. It did, Your Majesty. I would humbly ask my fellow counselors to focus on the content of these findings, not the method used to obtain them. I do find it so worrying. Yeah, kinda. Lesbia's not really... I don't really want them getting involved in this. What this evidence proves is that it's not Palais alone asserting its claim to the field. Lesbia, and by extension ATO, is after that gas and all the money and power that comes with it. This photo sends a different message to me. Could it be possible that Lesbia pressured Palais into claiming the field and sending the ship? And if so, can we use that fact to drive a wedge between the two? Alternately, we could find a compromise that involves all three of our countries. There's no compromise where Lesbia is involved. They'll steamroll over us at the first chance. I want to leave Lesbia out of it. This dispute is between Rizia and Palais. But then what happens if Morelia and their Vogslandian friends get involved? They won't be happy with an ATO member drilling so far south. We can't leave Lesbia out of it. They're there. I wonder what would happen here. And that could lead to the kind of consequences I was warning you about earlier, Your Majesty. I still don't think we should give up on the possibility of negotiations. I know you and Duke Reinhardt don't have much of a rapport, but might not be too late to come to an understanding. I don't want to come to an understanding. I want to crush his Grand Duchy to smithereens. Wow. He ruined his chance at reaching an understanding when he sent that ship. I'll try and be diplomatic. You know how much I respected your father, but with you I see a chance for a new approach. Shall we discuss our diplomatic options? Are you leaning towards any particular outcome? Can't we just split the field 50-50 with Pales? That's what we have a legal claim to, isn't it? I'm not going to let them keep the whole field. No. And I don't think we should try and claim it all for ourselves. Even though Palais is part of Rizia, technically. Kind of. Let's see if we can split it. Yes, that was the outcome I was hoping for before this incident, but it seems that without the aid of a third party, sharing the field would be more difficult than expected. Well, the Rizian military could be a third party. We may be going to war with Palais. We may be going to war with Wayland too, so I don't know if I really want to get into overextending myself like that. Asking the Alliance of Nations to arbitrate a dispute is a possibility. It's the typical path in disputes like this. Unfortunately, arbitration is an expensive and time-consuming process, and there's no guarantee it would end in our favor. With that said, it's definitely the safest way to avoid a diplomatic incident. We have Rumberg on our side. I'm sure Queen Bee would support us through the arbitration process. It does sound like we're kind of beholden to her for gas, so you would hope she would. It does sound like the law is on our side. Maybe this is the easiest way forward. We don't have time to spare. I want this gas now. Maybe this is the easiest way forward. On the other hand, if the AN does ending up ruling against us, that would be definitive. We would be forced to completely give up our claim. That's not a bad point. I'm not going to let... No. Is there any way we can claim it for ourselves? Not without major diplomatic repercussions. No matter which maritime boundaries you look at, it's clear that half the field lies in Palesian territory. The only way for Rizian oil and gas to access the entire field would be for us to purchase the exploration rights from Palais. Sounds costlier than I envisioned, but we would certainly reap the rewards. Why don't we pursue that option? No, I don't think that's a good idea. Neither one of these guys are for it. Or what she thinks. I would leave our exploration dependent on their conditions. Ah, nice. Don't forget about Lesbia's involvement. We know for a fact that Less Power has designs on the gas field. If we want the rights, we will have to outbid them. And before that, we'd have to convince Duke Reinhardt that Rizia is a trustworthy partner, which may be difficult considering the shaky state of Rizia and Palesian relations. I'm not going to let them keep... No, that's not even an option. I don't know. Please stop bringing it up, game. Hugo cleared his throat. Let's see what he has to say. We have still not decided what to do about the Palesian drillship. I don't like the idea of it being present in the gas field during our negotiations, but I don't see a way to stop it. We have to do something, obviously. Palesians must not be allowed to get away with this. We shouldn't immediately interpret the ship as a provocation. This could be a misunderstanding. That's kind of naive. I don't see any way to stop it. I do, Your Majesty, but my fellow counselors won't like it. With His Majesty's blessing, the Rizian Navy could surround the field, preventing the drill ship from reaching its destination, which would do wonders for our relationship and help our negotiations out fantastically. Yeah. Rento looked up in outrage. Are you in your right mind, young lady? The Navy? We'd be escalating the situation. I know you come from a different generation, Miss Esquibble, but that address was completely out of line. I second that. Military response could have disastrous consequences. It's not an outlandish suggestion. We've already established that Palais is violating international law. They are the ones who are escalating. We cannot simply stand idly by. We need a strong response. There we go. Tensions with Palais are high enough already. This could bring them to the boiling point. The Duchess is not talking about sinking the drill ship, Mr. Esquibble. A blockade could keep the field clear until His Majesty has a chance to speak with Duke Reinhardt. Wow, she's on our side? Hey. We do end up in arbitration talks. Palais having an established presence in the Aureus field would give them an unwarranted edge. Even so, the risk of escalation is too high. I want us to have a fighting chance to claim our rightful part of the field. I'm hesitant to interfere. What if ATO retaliates? Palais and Lesbia are literally testing the waters with us. We let them reach the field, we have already lost it. That's... We'll go with this one. It's kind of the softcore version of that fourth option. I agree that asserting Rizian sovereignty is of the utmost importance, especially knowing what we know about Lesbia's involvement. But I am wary of miring ourselves in another conflict. What if the Palesians call our bluff? What if it's not a bluff? That is a concern, Your Grace. We have a capable navy, but we won't be able to outgun Palais if it comes down to it, really. This is not a decision to take lightly. I understand the implications, but I fear we have no other choice. We will institute a naval blockade of the gas field immediately. We gain a +1 on our authority from that. I do not take Duke Reinhardt's violation of the law lightly either. Our navy will show him that Rizia cannot be intimidated. Order the blockade. I agree, and I think we should exercise caution. I will meet with Duke Reinhardt before deciding our next steps. I see through your manipulation, Adult. Shit. Oh, this is where doing this live could come in handy. I could meet with him first, but by then it might already be too late. So what's the difference between these two? I understand the implications, but I fear we have no other choice. We will institute a naval blockade of the gas fields immediately. Or, I do not take Duke Reinhardt's violation of the law lightly either. Our Navy will show him that Rizia cannot be intimidated. It's kind of a chest lumping, but they both come to the same thing, so... Oh, I don't know what to do. I'm going to order the blockade and go with this one. Lucida nodded. Lorenzo and Elena exchanged troubled glances. As you wish, Your Majesty, I'll make the order right away. This will add a tense background to the negotiations, to say the least, but I have faith it will all work out for the best. Good. That's the spirit, Lorenzo. I'm sure our ships will only be in place for a few days at most. I'll adjourn the meeting so Duchess Cesaro may begin preparation. We will inform you of the Navy's position prior to your departure for Palais. This is just a precaution. Wish I could see the look on Reinhardt's face when he finds out about this. Thank you for your suggestion, Duchess. I knew you could be counted on. There we go. Gotta play it up a little bit. I'm just doing my job, Your Majesty. I spent a sleepless night in Fort Ales, wondering what would happen when the Rizian Navy reached its destination. Alright. So we do have some more stuff to look at here. Homogeneous society. That's it. The cultural landscape is marked by predominant influence of the Rizian Ruckus majority. Fabric of society is mostly consolidating, with minority voices having a harder time. Got a bunch of reports and some news to read. Doesn't seem like there's anything big right now. Could be hiding in these clipboards, though, so let's read the news. Arcasia secures Pyrrhic victory in South Xena conflict. Arcasia emerges from the South Xena conflict bearing the hallmarks of a Pyrrhic victory, with the toll of war casting long shadows over its future endeavors. The sustained campaign, though successful in reaffirming Arcasia's superpower status, has left a trail of devastation and a population weary of conflict. Alright. Navy deployed to Aureus gas field. By royal order, 6 ships from the Rizian Royal Navy have been deployed from the Fort Ales harbor to the area around the Aureus gas field, which we have determined lies in both Rizian and Palesian waters. The officers on board have been instructed to block any Palesian vessel from entering the field using Calica bees as a base to refuel and refresh their supply. Dirty and Golcondas communities sheltering BFF. Brutus. Oh boy. These guys again. Internal security forces have informed us that Rizia's Dirtian communities may be harboring fugitives from the Brutish Freedom Front in Wayland, as Victor Smolak government cracks down on the separatist movement. Now, this way we may actually have a reason to side with the Blues here, because Smolak, fuck him. Alright. Wayland restricts access to Zeal region. Wayland has reduced travel across the disputed Zeal region, making it particularly hard for non-Wessex citizens to visit the region. Local officials have cited security and risk of further terrorist attacks as reason for this temporary measure. Uh-oh. Let's see if we can train some more army. Might want to train some navy. Don't have enough resources. Train some infantry. About 2. Here we go. Cancel. Train. Here we go. We're training some more military. And... oh, here we are over here. Way off the map. Meeting with Duke Reinhardt. What's this other one up here? Oh, okay. Confederacy of Beindun Nisam request support and uprising? Huh? And who the hell would that be? With instability in key states of the Confederacy, such as the Sultanate of Ragkara, Holy Isles of Penguvi, and the Duchy of Tamarin, the situation is rapidly deteriorating. Prince Consort Kabuan Sang Tam leads the effort to maintain monarchic control and suppress the uprising, but their resources are stretched thin. In a request for grace solidarity, Bindo Nizam turned to the guild for assistance. That's in Rumburg, isn't it? Yeah, it's in Rumburg. Guild of Royal Allies. In foreign. These are people. Is there not a diplomacy section in here? I'm pretty sure there is. Just not seeing it here. Diplomacy, here we go. And nothing. We are part of the guild here. But I don't want to screw around with Rumburg. Got my own problems to worry about. Not going to help him out. Sorry, guys. Your problem. Let's get on with this meeting here. I hadn't been to Palais in many years. Titus and I stood side by side, peering out the window at Castle Reinhardt. Grand Duke's royal residence was built on the foundation of an ancient whatever, one of the stone fortifications that gave Palais its name. After his coronation, Duke Reinhardt had hired an up-and-coming local architect to expand the old building into a swooping, bulging wooden glass structure that seemed almost alive. The reception room had been moved to the top floor and boasting enormous curved windows with a view of the Palais skyline. Its soaring angular skyscrapers were unlike anything built in Rizia. So this is the Pearl of the Antician. Sound unimpressed, Captain? I'm a simple man, sir. Give me a classicism of Palais Resna over whatever this is. Where have you been? Where are you from, Titus? Born and raised in Porte de Rizian. My father was killed during the operation to take back Palais. I took up championship boxing to support my family. Cool. He gave his life for a good cause. He believed in it with all his heart. He never turned against King Valero. A panel in the wall slid open and a secretary clad in a pastel mini dress emerged. She had motioned for me to enter. Make yourself comfortable. This might be a while. Secretary announced my entrance. I stepped into the room and was greeted by Duke Reinhardt. Axel Reinhart. The Palesian ruler was tall and square-jawed with looks out of an adventure serial. I recall that the tabloids had nicknamed him Duke Dashing. He maintained eye contact as he bowed to me. Your Majesty, a pleasure to finally meet you. Likewise, you have a beautiful castle. Really? You think it's beautiful? Breathtaking. He raised an eyebrow. I wasn't sure about it myself, but when you're the leader of such an advanced economy, there's always pressure to keep up with the times. You know how it is. The secretary left, closing the door behind us. The Duke and I took seats on opposite sides of the wooden conference table. His posture was casual, even as he regarded me with intensity. I'll be honest with you, Your Majesty, I never expected my brother to abdicate. I was perfectly happy living a life of leisure, coasting off the family fortune, enjoying the odd celebrity rendezvous. You didn't have to take his place. Which celebrities? Life is full of surprises, dude. Let's get down to business. What is there to negotiate? He sighed and slid a report across the table towards me. My security minister woke me up at midnight with this. I was assured that Palais had every right to begin drilling in the Aureus gas field, and now our ship finds itself in a standoff with the Rizian Navy? Tell me, Your Majesty, what is the meaning of this? Your country sending the drill ship was an act of provocation. I had no choice but to respond in kind. What did you think it means, Your Grace? Why did you send the ship to begin with? Why not notify my government? You haven't exactly listened to my government's wishes in the past. Sending that ship was our way of asserting Palesian sovereignty. What sovereignty? Your family only came to power because the Volgos Empire put you there, and now the Empire is gone. Your sovereignty only exists because lesbian support. Without it, Pales would crumble. Please, Your Grace, let's not let the bad blood between our families color our present relationship. We respect your sovereignty. It doesn't mean you can steal our gas from us. It is disrespectful to claim that the sovereignty of our nation, however young, is equal to that of a neglected speck of a Rizian island. What? I saw intensity in his eyes. You know, Your Majesty, we Reinhardts have ruled Palais for as long as the Tauruses have ruled Rizia. Yes, Palais was part of the Volgos Empire, but we developed our own laws and customs, even our own language. When the Empire fell apart, what were we supposed to do? Simply give up everything we had built? I would have done that before turning to Lesbia? No, I suppose not. Regimes end. It was your time. Palais could have kept its cultural identity intact if it had rejoined Rizia. Your father never would have allowed that, and your own nationalist tendencies make me think you wouldn't either. Lesbia, on the other hand, was more than willing to support our independence. They supported your independence by making you dependent on them. You should never have been put in that position, Your Grace. My country should have left Pales alone. That's kind of goes back on what I just said. Maybe I could confuse them if I change my story in the middle of our conversation. They supported your independence by making you dependent on them, by making us wealthy, by giving us the capacity to defend ourselves against aggressors like you. Now that Lesbia is an ATO member, they won't want to be connected to a monarchy for long. They'll have you overthrown the first chance they get. It's a bold claim. I understand why Pales accepted Lesbia's aid, but now that Morelia is in league with Volksland, you could get caught between superpowers. Have you met their new prime minister? Do you trust them? Well, throw the ball into his court and see what he says. Not as long as we have a bargaining chip, and we do, right at the bottom of the Antician. So you see, Your Majesty, we can't let Rizia take it from us, not without a fight. I don't want to take it from you. I want to share it with you. Calm down, Your Grace. We have no intention of starting a fight. If it's a fight you want, it's a fight you'll get. You are not the only country with obligations, and the gas field is large enough to be split. Sharing a gas field requires close collaboration. You'll excuse me if I don't feel like collaborating with Rizia right now. We don't have to collaborate, just stay on our respective sides. There's too much potential for disagreement, which Rizia has already proved itself incapable of handling. Before we continue this conversation, I must insist you withdraw your navy. If it means we can move forward, then fine. I'll call off my ships effective immediately. But what about your drill ship, dude? Can we move forward? God, another one of these here. But he's not going to budge, and it's going to come to war. I'll back down. He just called my bluff pretty hardcore, so. Shaky sigh of relief. Thank you. Unfortunately, our options for the Aureus field are still limited. Lesbia is on the verge of purchasing the exploration rights to the field, yet you obviously are not willing to cede it to us. So the only choice I see is to take this to the Alliance of Nations for arbitration. They'll easily rule that Pales acted in direct violation of the AN directive on offshore resources. If I do cede the field to Pales, what will you give Rizia in return? No, I'm not ceding the field. No. A directive we never ratified. And even if it applies, and/or is not black and white, it's very nuanced. We have the support of the international community. Pales doesn't. The rule over our maritime borders seems clear to me, and my counselors as well. Let's see if the AN sees it that way. Remember, we have the backing of Lesbia, which has the backing of Arcasia, and we both know how much sway the latter has on the AN. You're forgetting the support we have from Rumberg and Grace, except for we just stiffed them. And put so much trust in Lesbia. And you should not underestimate them, or us. I'm telling you, if you cede the gas field to us without argument, you'll be able to avoid a long and costly process. You know what? You're obviously more desperate for this gas than we are. Keep it if you like. No. Let's enter arbitration. I want my share of that gas. So be it, Your Majesty. He reached under his desk and pressed an intercom button. Hilda, be a doll and help show His Majesty the way out of the building. Wouldn't want him getting lost. He sat back in his chair and scrutinized me closely. I should warn you that you're going to lose badly. Shame we were unable to settle this like gentlemen. Let the record show that we tried. Secretary came in and out I went. We stepped outside to the waning sunlight. He waited until we were out of the building's shadow to speak. How did it go, Your Majesty? We may yet have a chance to avenge your father's death. Duke is a snake. Yep. I just nodded wordlessly. He got in the car and began the long trip back to Porte Rizian. Alright, so that did not go good at all. And/or Aureus arbitration procedure. Procedure under the 1942 AN directive aims for a fair allocation of resources. Alright. So that's what we're doing. What kind of royal decrees do we have here? Expand Fort Ailes Navy Base. Might not be a bad idea. Strengthen Pales border fortifications. That might not be a bad idea. -2 on the authority, -2 on the budget. And a resolve to bolster our territorial sanctity and fortify our historic claim. The kingdom intends to reinforce the established network of trenches and defenses along the Rizia and Pales boundary. Directed a mere, well, I want that gas, and I want Pales. So, there we go. And we could even go as far as expanding our, where's Terrador? Four Ales and Terrador. Let's check them out here. There's Terrador right here. Here's 4 Ales. We could do all 3 of them and go broke. But I think I'm just going to do that one for now. Pales Frontier to be strengthened. In an unwavering commitment to keeping the people of Rizia safe, the king has signed a decree ordering the immediate construction of a new border fortification with Pales. Warding of foreign threats and securing the independence of Rizia is of the utmost importance to the crown. The construction of these fortifications are needed to secure our dominion over the Pales administrative district. A network of existing fortifications already exists, but is nearly 2 decades old at this point, and thus is in dire of upgrades. All right. Pales expresses worries at Rizia military buildup. Rizia's recent announcement that it's building up the fortification at the Pales border have worried the international community, with especially Palais expressing strong opposition to the move, claiming it threatens to jeopardize Rizian-Palesian relationships, which are in the toilet anyway. Suck it. Okay, so a little more seriously, I do think we are heading towards some type of conflict with Pales. Palais, sorry. So where would that other one be? We've got a ton of authority. She doesn't want it. We're not doing that. Landowners tax, already looked at that. Base income tax, nobody cares. -2 on the authority. -4 on the authority. Wow. Where would that Navy one be? And the Fort Ales naval base. That'd be -2 on the budget. What about the Air Force? -2 on the budget as well. I'm going to do that too. Alright. We may have to start raising money somehow. Attend the House of Delegates session. All with Prime Minister Alvarez. we're going to save that there for the next one. In order to bolster the capabilities of the Rizian Navy to project power and protect the interests of the Crown better, Palace has ordered an expansion of the naval base at Fort Ailes. Okay. So the stage is set. I don't know what I was expecting. How I was expecting that to turn out after I blockaded. And I'm wondering how my decrees are going to go over with that that hearing or the arbitration, but we'll find that out going forward. Anyway, if you like this episode, hit the like button. If you have any thoughts, tips, or advice, leave those in the comment section down below. If you'd like to follow along through our playthrough as King Romas Taurus, it's the first time I played as the king down there in the corner. Having a great time with it. Hope you guys are enjoying it. If you aren't subscribed, you should probably do it so you don't miss anything out. And hit the bell so you are in the loop every time I put something up. Well worth your time. J76NY saying thank you very much for watching and have yourself a very good day.